we can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States. He will be going back to the White House.
Imagine losing billions of dollars, facing multiple bankruptcies, and then bouncing back to become the leader of the free world. This isn't the plot of a Hollywood movie, it's the real-life story of Donald Trump. In this video, we'll take you behind the scenes of Trump's most challenging moments, from the brink of financial ruin in the 90s to the controversies that rocked his presidency. But more importantly, we'll uncover the strategies and mindset that allowed him to transform setbacks into stepping stones on his path to power. In the heart of Queens, New York, far from the glittering skyscrapers that would one day bear his name, Donald Trump's journey began. His father, Fred Trump, had already built a substantial fortune in real estate, providing a springboard for his son's lofty ambitions. Young Donald displayed early signs of the personality that would come to define him: brash, confident, and always seeking the spotlight. Trump's time at military school instilled in him a sense of discipline and leadership, traits that would serve him well in the cutthroat world of New York real estate. As he entered the business world, Trump's career was marked by both successes and controversies, setting a pattern that would follow him throughout his life. In 1976, Trump made his first significant mark on Manhattan with the acquisition of the Grand Hyatt Hotel. This deal showcased his knack for negotiation and his ability to secure favorable terms.
Probably the most successful hotel, one of them in the country, we feel.
Trump transformed the struggling property into a luxury hotel, leveraging his connections and securing a tax abatement that significantly reduced his financial burden. This success opened the doors to the world of high-end real estate development, but it was Trump Tower, completed in 1983, that truly embodied Trump's brand and ambition. Rising 58 stories above Fifth Avenue, the building featured luxury condominiums and high-end retail space. Trump marketed it as a premier destination in Manhattan, further solidifying his reputation as a savvy developer. Trump's rise from outer borough developer to Manhattan mogul was fueled by a potent mix of ambition, family connections, and an unmatched flair for self-promotion. In a city facing economic challenges and urban decay, Trump's willingness to invest demonstrated his confidence and risk-taking nature. His marketing strategy went beyond buildings, focusing on building a public persona that emphasized his wealth and success. Trump used the media masterfully, promoting his projects and cultivating a celebrity status that attracted attention and investment. Trump's true genius wasn't in real estate, but in marketing himself as the very embodiment of wealth and success. While his buildings rose high, he was constructing something far more valuable, a personal brand that would outlast even his most iconic properties.
My name is Donald Trump, and I'm the largest real estate developer in New York.
The publication of The Art of the Deal in 1987 marked a turning point for Trump. Co-written with Tony Schwartz, the book became a bestseller and catapulted Trump to national fame. It cemented his image as a savvy businessman and dealmaker, reaching audiences far beyond New York City. Soon, the Trump name appeared on everything from steaks to vodka to a university. However, many of these branded ventures failed. Trump Airlines crashed, Trump Vodka dried up, and Trump University faced legal troubles. Yet, remarkably, Trump's personal brand continued to grow stronger. Trump understood the power of celebrity in American culture. "I realized what Americans really loved was celebrity," he once said. If you were a celebrity, everything was possible. He leveraged this insight masterfully, cultivating relationships with the media, particularly the tabloid press in New York City. His approach to publicity was summed up in his oft-quoted statement, "It really doesn't matter what they write, as long as you've got a young, beautiful piece of..." Trump actively sought to control the narrative around his image, even using fake names like John Barron to plant stories that would benefit his public persona. Trump's ability to bounce back from setbacks became a key part of his appeal. He framed failures as part of a larger narrative of resilience and success. "I play to people's fantasies," Trump explained. "People may not always think big themselves, but they can still get very excited by those who do." This mastery of personal branding and media manipulation laid the groundwork for Trump's later political success. The line between Trump the person and Trump the brand had become so blurred that his business persona seamlessly transitioned into the political arena. From boardroom to living room, Trump's next move caught many by surprise. How did a simple television catchphrase become the stepping stone to the most powerful office in the world? The answer lay in a reality TV show that would redefine Trump's public image and set the stage for his political ambitions. In 2004, The Apprentice hit American television screens, introducing Donald Trump to a new generation. The show portrayed Trump as a decisive, successful businessman, carefully reinforcing his crafted image of wealth and power. Millions of viewers tuned in weekly to watch a aspiring entrepreneurs compete for a job in Trump's organization, hanging on his every word and waiting for his signature phrase, "You're fired." Behind the scenes, Trump was reportedly obsessed with the show's ratings and his portrayal, revealing a deep desire for public approval. This obsession with his image would later translate into his political career, where public perception became paramount. As The Apprentice grew in popularity, so did Trump's involvement in political commentary. He began to voice his opinions on various issues, slowly transitioning from businessman to political figure. This shift became more pronounced when Trump started questioning President Obama's birthplace, aligning himself with a growing movement of skepticism towards the Obama administration. Even as the popularity of The Apprentice began to wane, Trump's political ambitions continued to grow. He had successfully leveraged his celebrity status into a platform for political discourse, demonstrating an uncanny ability to keep himself in the public eye. The Apprentice had transformed Trump from a New York-centric figure into a national celebrity, setting the stage for his eventual presidential run. The line between reality and reality TV had blurred, and Trump's carefully cultivated persona as a tough, successful leader was about to face its ultimate test in the political arena. As the curtain fell on The Apprentice, a new, more dramatic reality show was about to begin. Could the tactics that won him his ratings translate into winning votes? His 2015 presidential campaign announcement marked the beginning of a political upheaval that would rewrite the rules of American elections. When Donald Trump descended the golden escalator of Trump Tower to announce his candidacy for president in June 2015, few took him seriously. The political establishment and media pundits dismissed him as a publicity seeker, not a serious contender. You see, his brash style and controversial statements about immigration seemed more suited for reality TV than the campaign trail. However, his unconventional approach quickly gained traction. He avoided traditional campaign methods, instead relying on massive rallies and a constant stream of tweets to communicate directly with voters. His inflammatory rhetoric about building a wall on the Mexican border and renegotiating trade deals resonated with many Americans who felt left behind by globalization and cultural changes. As the Republican primary season unfolded, a pattern emerged. Trump would make a controversial statement, pundits would declare his campaign dead, and yet his poll numbers would rise. His promise to make America great again struck a chord with voters who yearned for a return to a seemingly simpler time.
To make America great again.
Meanwhile, his fellow Republican candidates struggled to counter his unorthodox tactics and populist message. Of course, his campaign faced its share of scandals. The release of the Access Hollywood tape in October 2016, where he was heard making lewd comments about women, seemed like it might finally derail his presidential bid. Many Republicans withdrew their support, and calls for him to drop out of the race grew loud. However, Trump weathered the storm, refusing to back down and maintaining the loyalty of his core supporters. His ability to survive scandals that would have sunk traditional candidates puzzled political observers. His campaign team, initially surprised by the level of support he garnered, attributed it to his outsider status and his knack for connecting with voters on a personal level. As the primaries progressed, it became clear that he had tapped into a powerful undercurrent of discontent in American politics, one that traditional polling and political wisdom had failed to detect. While pundits confidently predicted a Clinton victory, a question lingered. Had they once again underestimated Trump's connection with voters? As the results started rolling in, it became clear that election night 2016 would be anything but predictable. The polls had consistently shown Hillary Clinton with a comfortable lead. Political analysts and media outlets were preparing for what they expected to be a historic night, the election of America's first female president. However, as states began reporting their results, a different story emerged. His performance in key swing states surpassed all expectations. States like Florida and Ohio, crucial for any path to victory, fell into his column. But the real shock came as traditionally Democratic strongholds began to waver. Wisconsin hadn't voted for a Republican presidential candidate since 1984. Michigan hadn't done so since 1988. Yet on this night, both states turned red, sealing his electoral college victory. The world watched in disbelief as the unexpected outcome unfolded. Global financial markets, initially rattled by the uncertainty, saw stock futures plummet. However, by the time he delivered his victory speech, markets had begun to stabilize, reflecting the rapid recalibration to this new political reality. In a twist that would fuel debate for years to come, Hillary Clinton actually won the popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. But in the American system, it's the Electoral College that decides the presidency, and he would secure a clear victory there. His victory speech struck a notably different tone from his campaign rhetoric. He called for unity and promised to be president for all Americans, a stark contrast to the divisive language that had characterized much of his campaign. This shift in tone left many wondering which version of him would occupy the Oval Office. The 2016 election upended traditional political wisdom. It demonstrated the limitations of polling and punditry in capturing the mood of the electorate. Trump's victory revealed deep divisions within American society and highlighted the growing distrust of political establishments. The shockwaves from this election would reverberate through the American political system for years to come, reshaping the landscape of both major parties and altering the very nature of political discourse in the United States. The shockwaves of his victory had barely subsided when a new era of American politics began to unfold. From day one, his presidency defied convention, challenging long-held assumptions about executive power and communication. What followed was a term marked by unprecedented events that would leave an indelible mark on the nation's history. Trump's presidency started with a controversy that set the tone for what was to come. He claimed his inauguration crowd was the largest in history, despite photographic evidence suggesting otherwise. This incident foreshadowed his tendency to create his own narrative, often at odds with observable facts. Of course, his unconventional communication style quickly became a defining feature of his presidency. His prolific use of Twitter allowed him to bypass traditional media channels and speak directly to his supporters. This direct line of communication proved both powerful and polarizing, with supporters praising his authenticity while critics decried his often inflammatory rhetoric. Meanwhile, the spectre of Russian interference in the 2016 election loomed large over Trump's first term. A special counsel investigation examined potential collusion and obstruction of justice, casting a long shadow over the administration. The investigation consumed much of the media's attention and fueled political divisions, even as he dismissed it as a witch hunt. However, amid the controversies, he achieved several key policy goals. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 lowered the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, a move celebrated by his supporters as a boost to the economy. He also left a lasting impact on the judicial branch, appointing 3 Supreme Court justices, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, potentially shaping the court's ideological balance for decades to come. You see, Trump's presidency was a study in contrasts. While his supporters lauded his achievements, critics pointed to his handling of crises like what happened in 2020 as evidence of his shortcomings. The polarization that defined his term reached a fever pitch in the aftermath of the 2020 election. His refusal to concede and the subsequent events of January 6th, when a mob stormed the Capitol, marked a tumultuous end to his presidency and led to his second impeachment. His term in office was marked by significant policy changes, constant controversy, and a deepening of America's political divide. His presidency reshaped the Republican Party's identity, focusing on populism and nationalism. As the dust settled on Trump's 4 years in office, it was clear that American politics had been forever changed. When Donald Trump left office in January 2021, many expected his influence to fade. However, the reality proved quite different. He remained a dominant force in Republican politics, his grip on the party seemingly undiminished despite no longer holding office. His claims of election fraud, though unsupported by evidence, continued to resonate with many of his supporters. This narrative, often referred to as the big lie, became a litmus test for Republican politicians seeking his endorsement. Meanwhile, Trump faced mounting legal challenges. Investigations into his business practices and his role in the January 6th Capitol riot loomed large, threatening his political future and personal freedom. The Republican Party found itself at a crossroads. Some members embraced his combative style and populist message, seeing it as a path to electoral success. Others sought to distance themselves, worried about the long-term consequences of tying the party's fate to a polarizing figure. This internal struggle played out in primary elections across the country, with Trump-endorsed candidates often prevailing over more traditional Republicans. His absence from major social media platforms like Twitter didn't silence him. He launched his own platform, Truth Social, in an effort to maintain direct communication with his base. This move underscored his understanding of the power of social media in shaping political narratives and mobilizing supporters. Speculation about a potential 2024 presidential run kept Trump in the political spotlight. His every move and statement was scrutinized for hints about his future plans. Political analysts debated whether his legal troubles would hinder his chances or if his loyal base would propel him to another nomination. Even out of office, his impact on political discourse and norms continued to reverberate through American society. His confrontational style and willingness to challenge established institutions had fundamentally altered the political landscape. As the country moved forward, Trump's legacy remained a subject of intense debate, with supporters hailing him as a transformative figure and critics warning of the dangers his approach posed to democratic norms. His announcement of another presidential run for 2024 sent shockwaves through the Republican Party. While his loyal supporters cheered, some party leaders quietly expressed concerns about his electability. The former president faced new challenges, including increased legal scrutiny and competition from other Republican candidates candidates eager to claim his mantle. His campaign messaging evolved, focusing heavily on themes of revenge against his perceived political enemies. He framed his legal battles as politically motivated attacks, rallying his base around the idea that he was a victim of a deep state conspiracy. This narrative resonated strongly with many of his supporters, reinforcing their loyalty and engagement. Despite the controversies surrounding him, he maintained a strong lead among Republican candidates. Polling data showed approximately 60% of likely Republican voters expressing support for him, far outpacing his closest rivals.
Shows 60% of Republicans want the GOP to follow former President Trump's leadership.
His fundraising efforts were equally impressive, reportedly raising over $100 million in the first half of 2023 alone. Trump's campaign style remained unconventional, relying heavily on large rallies and social media to connect directly with supporters. His ability to bypass traditional media narratives and speak directly to his base continued to be a hallmark of his political strategy. However, his campaign faced unexpected challenges. In July, an attempt on his life shocked the nation and galvanized his supporters. As the election drew nearer, he claimed that various forces were trying to stop him from reaching the White House. Trump's messaging shifted to target the average American, focusing on specific plans to address issues like inflation and economic hardship. He promised to make America great again and make America healthy again, resonating with voters who had struggled financially and emotionally over the past 4 years. The Republican establishment found itself in a difficult position, struggling to balance his undeniable popularity with concerns about his electability in a general election. As the primaries approached, it became clear that Trump's 2024 campaign represented both a continuation of his political movement and a test of its enduring strength in a changed political landscape. The establishment's concerns about Trump's electability proved unfounded. In a twist that shocked political pundits, he secured a landslide victory in 2024, but the real surprise was yet to come. How would this unconventional leader navigate his second term, armed with experience and a renewed mandate? His promises to make America great again and make America healthy again struck a chord with millions of Americans. After 4 years of economic struggles and health crises, voters were ready for change. His campaign focused on addressing inflation, improving healthcare, and revitalizing the education system. His message resonated deeply with those who felt left behind by recent policies. The global reaction to his re-election was mixed. Some foreign leaders anticipated a more aggressive US foreign policy, particularly regarding issues like immigration and relations with Israel. His approach to international alliances was expected to shift significantly, reflecting his preference for bilateral agreements over multinational organizations. In the wake of Trump's victory, an unexpected boom hit the cryptocurrency market. Prices surged as the crypto community celebrated, anticipating favorable policies from the new administration. However, the long-term implications of this surge remained uncertain. As he prepares to retake office, he outlines ambitious plans to drain the swamp and combat what he saw as entrenched corruption in Washington. His team began working on strategies to reclassify thousands of civil service employees as political appointees, a move that would allow him to reshape federal institutions more easily. His second term included a focus on enforcing pro-life and implementing mass deportations of undocumented immigrants. These plans signaled a more aggressive approach to governance, with him seemingly determined to push through policies that had been blocked or reversed during his first term. Experts warned that his second term could further test democratic norms and the system of checks and balances. His intention to use executive power more forcefully raised concerns about the potential politicization of federal agencies and the targeting of political opponents. As Inauguration Day approaches, the nation holds its breath, wondering what this new chapter in American politics would bring. His supporters eagerly anticipated the fulfillment of his campaign promises, while his critics braced for 4 more years of controversy and upheaval. Donald Trump's journey to the White House wasn't just a political campaign, it was a battle against the entire establishment. His supporters, fiercely loyal and unwavering, played a crucial role in propelling him to victory against the agendas set against him. However, this triumph came at a cost, leaving the nation more divided than ever. Whether you like him or not, he'll go down as one of the most controversial presidents in history. Be sure to subscribe for more weekly documentaries.